3 years ago. He was a black guy. He spoke the way we spoke, just like Kevin is articulated. When I go to high schools to speak to them, I'm not going to go there in a suit, because I'm going to go there with a backwards hat, and I'm going to walk the way they walk, and I'm going to speak the way they speak. I'm going to say son, yo, whatever, because they're going to connect with me. It's all about connecting. This principal would say, or nah, he would say all of these things that we would say. I saw a video on Facebook of a principal throwing up his papers and then starting to do the shmoney dance, is what Bobby Shmurda dance that got him so popular. And the kids loved it, they were going crazy. We have to find the positive things in hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Because even though he's doing negative, so-called negative things, I know that there's a principal in Brooklyn, to a certain extent could be mocking him, but he's doing that to connect with the young kids. He's dancing, having them going crazy, but he's going, okay, you know what? Let's go upstairs, guys. We have to learn some certain things. Right. Another thing I wanted to talk about was Mashana, regarding white privilege. And I think you said something along the lines of, it is our duty to call them on certain things. White privilege is always going to be here, I believe. They're always going to be racist, they're always going to be prejudiced and things of that nature. But to be quite honest, I don't want to waste my time speaking to you. There's this individual who I considered was my friend. He was a friend of my friend. He has a black friend and he's white, right? He's Italian. One day, he put up a picture. This is how guys joke, what I think. And I was like, oh, you finally look decent for once. Joking. He turned around and said, it was on social media, he said, you and your fat nose, your fat lip. And I felt weird about that, because I never really had somebody say, I experienced racism, but I never really had someone say, your fat nose, your fat lip. So I stood there, I said, I don't know how I'm going to handle this, because my initial reaction is to punch him in the jaw when I see him. But I said, I'm not going to go down that route. So then he continued to contact me. And then he continued to say, fat nose, nigga, bitch, faggot, all of these things. And I'm like, you know what I'm about. You know that I'm about the progression of black people, and I don't want, any negative energy. But here you are, because I didn't respond to you, because you're of your privilege, you think I should respond to you. I'm not going to entertain your bullshit. And I apologize for speaking like this. But he's saying all of these negative things to me. Why should I pay him any mind? And he went to the extent of saying, I'm not racist, but you're more racist than me. These are internal things. He's been conditioned for years to believe that I have a fat nose, I have a fat lip, and I'm a nigga, a bitch, and he doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. So we have to understand that white people, I'm going to say as a collective, because I have white brothers and sisters, they are conditioned to believe that we're negative. And that's just the truth of the matter. It is them who, I think it's a miracle to find a white person who turns back everything that they have learned. So if we look at an average white person, we're going to look at the police officers. Ultimately, I think they don't care about us. They think we're disgusting creatures, as many of them told me. I was walking with my girlfriend and my mother, and they beat me up and they said, look at this fucking faggot. They don't like us. And that's the truth of the matter. Let's be real here. The system is made to kill us, to jail us. I do not think anyone in the police department is going to go against what has been working well for so many years, because it's big business. I came from court today. I could have been in jail for 15 days for what? For them beating my ass for walking around because I had no money to get to school, and I came from an anti-gun violence rally. I had no money to get to school. He said, boy, get over here. In my mind, I'm like, why is he calling me a boy? And he's disrespecting me. He said, boy, get over here when I'm talking to you. I'm like, dude, it's a free country. I can stand where I want. And I'm standing in the vicinity of the area. He chokes me, beats me down, cages me to a gate like I'm an animal. I could have been killed. And this happened multiple times. They see my videos, and he says, oh, aren't you the faggot that do the videos about us? We have to understand that they're not our friends, and they never will be. And somebody told me that we should enter the police department. If we have such a big problem with the police department, we should enter the police department. Well, I want to be an actor. I don't want to be a police officer. Somebody said that, oh, if we continue with the numbers, we can control our own areas, which I think is very detrimental to the black community or the Latino community, because I'm going to see somebody that looks like me doing horrible things to me. Right. So it's like, I don't know what the solution is. I'm stating the problem, but it's like, I feel as though we shouldn't really focus on them. We should have to focus on them, but we should focus on ourselves, patrol our own, or do whatever we can to protect ourselves and raise consciousness. Because when I go back to the hood, there's not going to be any pamphlets. There's no infrastructure like this in the hood. None. There was some sort of community service helping people out in basketball and stuff like that. We just play basketball, then we leave. We don't talk about anything.
Well, I think that's what Kevin and this panel has been saying, is to encourage folks to build from within. And Kevin, you want to say, go ahead.
I think I have a lot to say about what you just said. I think one, you have to recognize, and I think you do, that you're the face. And when I ran to the bathroom, the brother up there was telling me it's faces like me who needs to be out there, and it's faces like you who need to be out there to really relate with young people. But two, I would say be very careful about learning the differences between a system and the individual. So when I say about white supremacy, or when I say white privilege exists, I'm talking systemically. I'm not talking about one individual white person, because I know tons of white people who have done, and I don't think it's a miracle,
Right.
turn back that education that they learned and that conditioning that they learned. So I think we should be very careful in our language, how we even describe police officers.
Right.
I've been in cases where I sat on a panel a while ago about stop and frisk. I didn't know who the audience was going to be. I thought it was just a general audience. And the majority of the people in the audience were off-duty police officers. And we went toe-to-toe about stop and frisk. So I'll say, if we're going to be real constructive about how we develop communities, we have to be cautious about how we talk. Not every police officer. I say the system of policing is bad, but not individual police officers. Some are, and we see these cases coming up. And if you disagree, go for it. But don't generalize police officers. Two, and don't generalize white people.
Right.
Yep.
I just think that's how we progress, because we continue to marginalize ourselves or not be able to develop if we continue to use that language to describe people. That's exactly how they want us to, because then no one else will back this movement.
I believe it's very detrimental to generalize a group of people. I understand that. But if you're a part of a system, I know, and I spoke to what seemed like it was a good police officer, but if you're a part of a system for centuries that's destroying our people economically or physically or whatever, if you see a woman is being raped and you walk away from the woman getting raped, you're a part of it. You didn't call nobody or whatever. If you're a police officer, you see a bad police officer doing something wrong, and then you're just gonna keep it quiet, you're a part of the system.
Yeah, then those individual police officers are not.
The numbers are ridiculous.
But here goes the thing.
The culture and the conditioning is ridiculous.
I want to be
And I
respectful.
apologize.
I want to be respectful of the time, because I've just been told we got to be out of here at 10 o'clock, right? And brother, I hear your frustration, and I get it. I understand. And what we want to do is to be able to help you move along as much as we need to move along, because that's difficult. Your pain is difficult, and it is real. It is something that you experience, and in experiencing that, it definitely brings more frustration and anger, right? So I get where you're coming from. Believe you me, I think we've all been there. And you heard Brother Kevin say there was a time that he wouldn't do anything, color his walls every color, so he wanted to think about white folks, right? We've all been there, right? I've been there too. So we get that. We've been where you've been. And so it's not to ever take away that. We want you to feel the way that you want to feel, but we also want to educate you according to what the brother's saying in the end right there about we cannot generalize. We cannot generalize. There is good and bad in every single thing that happens in this universe. But we cannot generalize, because then that movement becomes null and void. Okay?
Can I say something? I just think that I think we got to be careful of silencing the voices of young people who express frustration, and real emotions. You know what I'm saying? Because when it ends up happening, and I saw this going down in Ferguson, they'll say, here's the angry young people, and here's the ones that are safe and they're calm, and we can listen to them. And I don't support that. I support hearing every single voice it's especially the voices that make people uncomfortable, because we should be uncomfortable. And I think that if someone says, look at this system, what it's been doing for 400 years, and it's clear that this person has read and has lived and has been victimized by the system herself or himself, we have a responsibility to have the courage to listen to that. You know what I mean? And the sister said something, Shana said something that I think is very key. We can't just skip over trauma and pain and hurt of our communities. If someone wants to speak, we don't say, well, you just gotta get over that. No. From 18 to 22, which was 4 years of my life, actually 18 to 24, 25, 7 years of my life, I felt exactly the same way that Brother Moise is speaking. That's 7 years. Why? Because the first 18 years of my life, I have been so severely brainwashed to hate myself. And so when I came into this awakening, I didn't just all of a sudden, say, well, I feel this way, I'm just going to get over this now. Later for what they did to Africa, later for slavery, I'm just going to no. I had to go through a process. And I think, something Shana said that really stuck with me is like, you just don't tell people, you got to show them how. But also, let's not say we're going to educate you, because I'm not elitist. You know what I mean? It ain't me educating anybody out there. It's we educate each other. It goes back and forth, because some of us need to hear what Brother Moise is saying, and other young people like Brother Moise. He's actually speaking for hundreds of thousands of young people all around the country who feel the same exact way, who do say F the police unapologetically, and they have a right to say that. You know what I mean? And I'm not a coward and be like, oh my God, how could they say this stuff? And I'm like, I understand why you're saying it, just how I understood. The brother said he's an old school hip hop head, why NWA made the song F the Police in the first place. Yep. You know what I mean? And so I think we got to be really careful. Even Dr. King had the courage. People always like to portray him as this I have a dream colorblind person. But one of my favorite moments of Dr. King in 1966 is when he's marching with Stokely Carmichael from Trinidad and Tobago, and Stokely Carmichael first started saying Black Power. Dr. King was still calling himself a Negro. Y'all feel where I'm going with this? And Dr. King did not understand the emotions of Stokely and other young people from the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, but rather than run away from them and try to squash it and like, y'all shouldn't be angry, he listened. Go to YouTube and watch the footage. Dr. King is literally marching side by side with Stokely Carmichael, a young black man. He's like, I gotta understand where this young black man is coming from. And over time, Stokely was like, I'm gonna get Dr. King to stop saying Negro and start calling himself black. And by the end of that march in Mississippi, that's what he was doing. And so I think that we gotta be really careful, if we really believe in democracy and freedom and equality, to say to someone, well, you're just gonna have to get over this. The white brother, Tim Wise, who writes a lot about white privilege, Tim Wise, look him up, you don't know what I'm talking about, he asked a very profound question. What other people on the planet, in this America, are asked to just get over their history? Like it's no big deal. You don't ask Jewish brothers and sisters to get over the Holocaust. There's a reason why Jewish brothers and sisters still say to this day, never forget. So when I hear a brother Moise speak, or other young brothers and sisters speak in that way, I'm like, they're speaking courageously for the courage that many of us don't have ourselves. You know what I mean? And so I'm not going to tell him to stop talking that way. Or, I'm saying it's healthy. If this is truly a safe space, I don't know about y'all, but I think that it is healthy to express how you feel. Are y'all with me out there? Yes. The worst thing you can do is squash how you feel, or tell someone who looks like you to squash how they feel. Imagine me telling a woman, you just need to get over rape or sexual assault. Y'all feel what I'm saying? Imagine me telling a gay sister or brother or a transgender sister or brother, you just need to get over the homophobia out there. You know what I mean? Imagine telling a poor person, which is most of my life I've been poor, y'all just need to get over poverty. You know what I mean? I understand your frustration. No, I think there's an insanity even when we do that to each other. I don't mean disrespect anybody, but let people express how they feel. And if it makes you uncomfortable or you think it's going to affect your political position or your job, you know what? You play your role and you do your job, whatever that job is, but don't tell that sister or brother that they're somehow wrong because they're expressing themselves. Are y'all with me out there? That's ridiculous to me, and I'm not going to participate in that kind of insanity because I'm not scared of anything. Y'all said fear. Fear is a prison, y'all. And this system has taught us to be even afraid of each other. I'm not with that.
I hope you didn't think I was telling him to be quiet with his frustration. All I was saying was the way in which this is an open dialogue, how we approach constructively what we do. So, brother, my grandfather, James 67X, I understand the struggle, and chief aide to Malcolm X. I understand how that goes and different approaches we have to take in order to secure real freedom in this country, a real conscious understanding of how we move forward. All I was saying is, if we are serious about bringing other people into this movement, we need to be cautious of how we talk. So when brothers talking, when brothers talking to other young people who experience exactly what he experienced, brother, talk to them like that, because that's how you bring them in the conversation.
Well, here's the thing. You know what? I've listened to everything that's been said today. No one said, let's go shoot anybody. No one said, let's go beat up anybody up. No one even said, I hate anybody. I never heard anyone even say, I hate anybody. When I said I hated white folks at a certain point, it was in the past tense. Y'all heard me say over and over again, I see everyone here as my sister and my brother. And so I'm saying to myself, sometimes we even hear things that don't even exist in the conversation. And to me, what is constructive, if we're serious about being constructive, is to allow every single voice to speak and not think that I'm going to take this role now of educating the folks that I don't agree with because I'm scared what they're saying because they might get white folks mad. You know what I mean? There's white folks out there who are more radical than the black folks in this room. Let's be real about it. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, if they ain't afraid, then why the heck are we afraid? It's because we've been taught to be afraid. And I'm not with being afraid. I think that's unacceptable. That's when the system that Moise is talking about, systemic racism operates when you start doing stuff, even if no one is around, you feel the need to be afraid. You know what I mean? And black men out there, how many of y'all have been stopped by the police? Just hold your hand up. Just look at that.
Put my feet up.
Look at that.
Almost all of us.
Now, he is speaking for every single one of us. That's my point. You know what I mean? And I just think that, you know, if we're going to have constructive dialogue, then you let everyone speak equally and we teach each other. Not, I'm going to correct him for you know, it's like, no disrespect, but when I was at Michael Brown's funeral in Ferguson, people got up there, these Negro preachers, because that's what they are, Negro preachers, and every single one of them kept saying, y'all just need to calm down. And now, mind you, these Negro preachers were fighting over each other to see who can get the photo ops at that. You know what I mean? It's a joke, man. You know, I don't want to be the elected official, so I don't care. You know, I understand Brother Provost and Brother Kareem Kamara got their role. My role is to listen to people like Moise and Shayna and you and other young folks out there and say, you know what, y'all keep talking. Y'all keep talking no matter what. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Oh, hi guys, my name is Tanisha Morrison. I'm also a co-founder of Voice, and thank you guys for being normal. But actually, I've had a couple points, but it just, crazily, it really just went right into it. I think what Kaya was trying to articulate is, as young people, we already have a battle with going into a conversation where people don't think that we know what we're talking about. I mean, I think half the time we're trying to articulate something where we probably don't even know how to articulate it correctly, so it could be understood to the receiver, and somewhere in the middle of that noise, okay, something gets missed. So that's the first thing that, I mean, I'm not saying that anybody's wrong here, because it all makes sense, but I do feel like as other young people, as older people who have already possibly been there, there is a responsibility to help us learn how to articulate what we're trying to say correctly so we can reach our right audience. And I think that's kind of one of my biggest points there. The second one, it was just a generalized statement of exactly what Mr. Moise was talking about, and especially, well, Voice itself, especially with the march that just happened. We got an interview from the U.S. World News Report, and one of the questions that we had was, well, do you feel like everybody's together? And half of me wanted to be like, hell no. Like, there was just so much going on that was ego-driven that I wanted to tell that reporter so bad. Like, we had buses places. Other random buses started showing up. Like, well, how did you know our location? And it wasn't about getting us to where we needed to go. It was about getting our numbers, right? Getting their buses full. And it had me a little bit discouraged about the things that we do and what they mean and who they mean it for. So one big part of that, just to anybody in this room, is do not be discouraged because of other people's ignorance, because it will definitely play a big part in how you move and what your purpose is and letting somebody deter your purpose in life. The third thing is that I also heard was spoke about a little bit, but as elected officials, you've asked, what is a district leader? What is community board? Who's, you know, what is an assemblyman? I think my question, you know, slash statement would be, is how do we, as elected officials, how do we, as these people of purpose, put ourselves in positions that we are in these neighborhoods and people do know who we are. As somebody who lobbies for a living, I've heard people, literally elected officials, say, well, I was here. Like, I did this event. It's not about where you are, it's where the people are. And how do we, and I mean, like, really though, like, how do we put ourselves in a position that we can find a way to change that? A lot of this work is ego driven, and it's like, where is the balance of mind versus the matter of the situation? And I think that's just really what my question would be for all of us in this room.
Distributed promos and just somebody may pray for Mara, stay here for the entire event. That's what you do.
Right.
You don't just don't break out, show up for 5 minutes.
And thank you. I mean, thank you for being here. I know Provost and Kamara been to almost everything that Voice has ever, done, and thank you. I mean, but as my grandfather, James 67X, would always tell me when I told him I did something like was, I'm never going to pat you on the back for something you were supposed to do.
That's right.
So thank you for being here,
That's
but I'm not going to pat you on the back for being here, because you obviously walk in a purpose where you're here.
That's right. Battle.
So, I mean, yeah, so I guess my question would be is how do we get more Camaras? And I mean, that's the question as
That
well.
comes so
why do I
good.
call them, like, why am I calling them? Why am I setting the bar for this black man to be another Camara?
Right.
Whoever that might be. Like, how do we even combat that? Where do we start there? And I guess that's the question I want to open up for everybody. In our communities, where do we start that? Where is it that, how do we, in our communities, start building these relationships, building with these people, where I know we have a whole bunch of other noise in our lives? Where do we start? And I would like to walk out of this room with a start.
You gotta pick somewhere to go. I feel like you get more dabble too much. Like, you tell somebody who looks up to you one thing in one moment, and then next you jump into something else, they get misled in between all that. And like you said, a lot of this is ego driven, and
right.
Brother, you being an elitist, a lot of people feel like they want to learn things and acquire certain knowledge just to make other people feel little. When that's, you're missing the whole point. You're missing the point of any religion, any philosophy, any of that, if you go about it that way. So like I said to the brother earlier, when he said it's a multi-dimensional struggle, it's also a multi-dimensional progress. In everything we do, I feel like it has to burn, it has to exude out of you in every single second of our lives, because we've chosen this to be our path. Like, maybe we didn't choose it specifically, but now that we're here and if we're serious about it, we know it's bigger than ourselves. And
Right.
we have to live it. We have to live it. We don't have to tweet it all the time. You know what I mean?
We have to breathe it.
You have to breathe it. Of course you're going to tweet it because you tweet. You know what I mean?
Gotta breathe it. But sister, what you were saying about, and I go back to this whole thing, we're not all made up for this. Okay? I'm 48. I've been in the game for a while. And I felt, it revealed it. Hush up, Shayna, but I'm 29 all the time, right? Yeah, okay, I see you up there, Roz. The reality is that I fall back from a lot of stuff because it's all about people's ego. And you have to hold yourself responsible. I want to be able to get up every morning and say I made a change in somebody's life. And I can't hold. And my expectations for other people sometimes a little bit higher than what their expectations of themselves are, right? So when you just asked about how do we get the next Kamaras, we don't need to get another him. We might just need a new you, right? You see what I'm saying? So that's what we prepare for. I'm clear on that, right? You don't have to always be up front. You can fall back and be in the back. That's my new tag, fall back for everything, right? Because it's passion that drives this. And when you know you're doing good work, your name don't have to be on a piece of paper. It don't got to be any place. It got to live within your spirit, right? And that's what I say to folks. So all of these guys up here, it lives within their spirit. That brother just said it right. You got to breathe it. Activism is something that you have to breathe, and you don't always have to be on television. You don't always have to be in the forefront. You can fall back and breathe it. I think you need to reach out to Kareem.
I was about to say, access to the man.
Yeah, what's Kamara?
District lead provost.
You say to the district leader that you want to have a meeting, you want to bring these people. You see, I learned this a while ago, and I don't know if Kevin's going to agree on this. I remember when I was doing a lot of fundraising and stuff, and somebody say, you know, Ife, if you want a lawyer to give money, you got to have another lawyer ask, right? If you want a doctor to give money, you got to ask another doctor to give. You got to tap into our politician right across there, our friend, our minister, and have him tap into those folks, right? That's what that's about. And that's what you got to do. You got to, you know, get them in there. When you get in that room, it's not about, you know, you can chastise and go ahead, but you got to come up and say, this is what we need from you. Our young people, and I say young because I'm still in that group, Shayna. Come on, girl. We got to hold them accountable. Man, you know what I want to see? What my next movement is? I want when the next election comes, I got to be 5,000 young people between the ages. I'm about to go up in schools from now when they start turning 16 and start talking about this whole thing about starting to vote and starting to get young brothers so when time coming they're 18 and they can vote. I got a movement of 5,000 young people behind me standing up saying, yeah, we want change and we're going to hold them accountable. That's what I'm talking about. That's my next thing. All of this stuff they can do, right? My thing is getting a movement of 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds that when they turn and they can start to vote, they'll be like, yo, hold up. We are well-educated, well-informed. We're going to change this whole thing. All these parties, independent, Republican, Democratic, we're going to be young folks on the move. That's what we're going to be. That's how it has to come.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in just very quickly. I think one of the realities that we have to accept is that there are a lot of evil and bad people in the world. That is something that is our reality. There's good people, there's good elected officials, there are bad ones. They're there for whatever reason, they get co-opted by different influences. And kind of like what I said earlier, that there are so many voters that as landlords, they vote for you and they just walk away. They leave you to do whatever you do, and then that's when other people with other interests come into the mix. And then once they're gone, they're like that lost sheep, they're just gone. So I think what's going to be very important is we have to continuously stay engaged with our elected officials. You can't let them run away. Put them on a leash. Let them know that you're here, that you're watching, and that you are also bringing other people to this conversation. I think there was that saying, you know, one person shows up at an elected official's office, elected officials high. Once about 5 or 10 people show up, they're going to start paying attention.
Roll up again.
They're not going to walk away from 10 people that live in their community knocking at their door saying, I want to have a meeting with you. We're going to meet. I'm telling you, I'm going to meet with you. but I think, again, that's just one of the real conversations that we have to have. There are some, unfortunately, bad individuals get away.
So I want to challenge District Leader and Brother Kamara to have an open class. I call it getting to know the politics of 101, right? This is going to be something I'm challenging you, Kareem, and District Leader, just to come in here, right? It's important for this group of folks, these young people who are really interested in finding out how to make that political change, for you guys to educate them. I think that would be like the first, that would be the homework assignment from this. I know we got to be out of here at 10. I'm going to let a wonderful Assemblyman, Kareem Karama, have some closing words, and then we need to make sure that we don't get charged over, right?
They're going to think it's a die-in if we stay too much longer because the protest is going on. I just really first, let's thank all of our panelists for the Charles. Now, I really got to say that I don't know if they did it already, but I want them to give the URL for the website because you're not going to find more dedicated people. These people didn't start getting involved with this issue after the Ferguson decision. They didn't start after the Garden decision or Hurley decision. This is their life. This is their passion. This is what they live, breathe, and sleep. They said they don't sleep. They're up all, not only they solving people's problems, once everybody else is asleep, the people they help, they're trying to come up with solutions for whatever the problem is. So I'm hoping we can continue this. It was Saul Alinsky who said that you either need organized money or organized people. And I think that's really the key. President Obama, when he ran for president, so much of what he said is philosophy, but he kept saying the change is from the bottom up, not from the top down. He was talking about Saul Alinsky, he was talking about organizing. That's right. So we can't say, I know some people here are discouraged. If you're discouraged with the political system, guess what? That's more reason for you to register to vote. You can't say, I don't like politics, I'm not going to vote. Guess what? Then the system's going to stay like it is. But if you say, I'm going to organize, I'm going to get some young people organized, they didn't answer my call, I'm going to show up, They didn't answer my knock on the door with 5 people. I'm gonna show up with 10 people. I'm gonna show up with 20 people. That's how you move the system. The other thing is that I was debating whether I was gonna even say this publicly or not, because I don't want to be negative against the black church. But we were talking about the faith-based movement. You mentioned Judson Memorial. I was at a meeting there 2 weeks ago. When I've been going around and when I've been going to these faith-based dialogues, I can count the number of African American faith leaders in the movement. And I'm looking around, I'm like, what happened? This was the civil rights movement. That was the struggle. Somehow, I don't know whether now the law changed and we think we don't have to fight anymore, but we need to encourage, if you're part of a ministry, encourage your imam or your pastor or your rabbi, say, listen, we need you involved with this, because it is the faith-based leaders will always drive the dialogue. There's something in Albany, it's actually started down south, and now we're going to bring it to Albany called Moral Mondays. Because when you look at a state budget, when you look at a city budget, there's morality involved, because you're making choices. So if you find out you're giving all the money to corporations, that means you value corporations more. If the corporations give more money to the schools, and you're saying your morality is you value the corporation more than you do the children. So we encourage you to continue being involved and continue working with these people. I think we just got to give one more round of applause. I've been inspired. I feel as an elected official, as a pastor, I have to do more. And Corey and I, not to put anybody on the spot, but Corey, we'll work with them with that civic dialogue. But we want to partner with you all. We don't want to do it as ourselves. We want to make it clear that this is part of a coalition. That's the other thing that we have to realize. So as an elected official, and Corey's the same way, I'm part of a coalition. I'm not one of those elected officials. People come to me all the time and say, what are you going to do? How are you going to solve this? You know what? I'm not. How are we going to work this thing out together? Exactly. I don't want to be the hero. I don't want to be the one that saves the world by myself. Listen, even if I saved it, people will say, what took you so long? You should have done it before. We voted for you a couple of years ago. You should have said, no, that's not. We don't need religious leaders. We don't need elected officials. We don't need leaders of educational institutions who think they're the hero. They're going to do it by themselves. The coalition is going to be the power of everybody in the room to help solve whatever problem it is. Thank you all so much. Please give your URL so we know your organization. Do it already. Give your website so we know your contact information for those people who want to continue being involved with your organization.
You can check out www.raiseyourvoice.com. You could tweet us at VOICE Inc. On Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and or you could just send us an email at voiceincorporated@gmail.com.
You can check out BK Nation. It's real easy. BKNation.org. BKNation.org. Again, January 22nd. Judson Memorial Church. Please come out there. I also want to throw out late April, we're partnering with Mayor Ras Baraka, elected official of Newark, New Jersey, National Conference on Leadership, Organizing, and Action Steps, bringing some folks together in a series of ideas around all these different issues. So I got some cards, so check us out.
New Yorkers Against Gun Violence offers free workshops on gun violence prevention, the misconceptions of gun violence, the difference between being a snitch and a witness, all that good stuff, absolutely free. You can go on our website at www.nyagvedfund.org and just request a workshop. Doesn't matter if it's 6 people or 600 people, we'll definitely come out and do work with your organization or your group of people, doesn't matter. We also, that's our C3, we also have a C4, we work directly on policy around guns and gun violence in communities, and that's www.nyagv.org. Also, I have cards just in case.
So I work at the Center for Innovation. As like I told you, I'm not in that capacity today. I'll definitely talk about the anti-gun violence work that we're doing. So check out SOSCrownheights.org, SOS South Bronx, SOS Bed-Stuy, SOS Morrisania. It's an anti-gun violence movement trying to tell folks let's stop the shooting and killings, but also giving our young people between the ages of 16 and 24 opportunities for change. So we're not just saying stop doing it, but we're also helping them to make those positive changes. So we just want to say thank you guys for coming out. Wow. Really admire the guys who are here. And like I say, each one teach one. You're each charged tonight to leave here, to educate, and to become involved, or just don't talk.
2 more rounds of applause. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here. You all made it. And we got to show some love to St. Francis Security. Thank you. We really appreciate it.